Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out Uranus, There Is No Good Way to Say It by CGP Grey. Yeah, there's no good way to say this name because no matter how you say it, it sounds like you're talking about a rectum. There's no way to say it well. There's just no way to make it sound good, okay? So yeah, let's see all the different ways you could pronounce it. Because I'm assuming that's what this video is going to be about.
Hello Internet. In my last video about Pluto, you may have noticed that I said aloud the names of every planet except one. This one.
Uranus.
That was no accident, but rather the result of careful script editing, because where I grew up, I learned that the name of the seventh planet is pronounced Uranus. Of course, to a kid, Uranus sounds an awful lot like Uranus, which is how I and everyone else I knew ended up saying the name, which is funny when you're a child, but becomes a bit of a problem when you grow up and try to teach scientific facts about the planet. For example, Uranus has a ring around it. Astronomers have discovered a dark spot on Uranus. Uranus is a gas giant. Uranus is surrounded by methane.
Oh my god, this sounds so bad.
Problem. The alternative
As a kid, you're like, this is funny. Then you grow older, and when you try to tell kids how to pronounce it, it sounds bad. And they laugh about it. But look, eventually everybody will grow out of it. Eventually, the vast majority of people will stop laughing at Uranus jokes. I mean, I won't because I'm just a stupid YouTuber, but
pronunciation of the name which goes Uranus. And most scientists in public roles do use this pronunciation. But for me, Uranus is still problematic. Sure, it's better than Uranus, but it's still Uranus. And perhaps I'm just childish, but when someone else says Uranus, I still hear Uranus in my head, and it just draws more attention to the unfortunate name. The tragedy is, it didn't have to be this way. The seventh planet from the sun is unique because it's the first planet we discovered. For all of human history,
couldn't they just name it something different?
Were big enough or bright enough to see with just our limited simian eyes. But the next planet was too dim to see until our telescope technology got good enough for British astronomer William Herschel to spot it in 1781. Understandably though, he didn't think he discovered a new planet since from the rise of modern humans 50,000 years earlier until that Tuesday, no one ever had. But discover it he did, and so choose a name he must. And Herschel, being the good subject of the crown that he was, christened his new planet the Georgium Sidus, which means the Georgian star. And the George in that Georgian star was King George III, the reigning monarch. While King George liked the name, the rest of the world did not, and decided that perhaps Herschel wasn't the best guy to name the new planet after all, and quickly decided to come up with alternatives of their own. One suggestion was Neptune, which is confusing to us now, but at the time, the planet that would become Neptune had not yet been found. A more obvious alternative was to name the planet Herschel, after the man who discovered it. Even in Great Britain, the name the Georgium Sidus proved a bit stuffy for some.
That would make more sense.
Variants like the Georgian planet or just Georgium were also used. Though never, as you might have heard, George. Side note here, while researching this video, I found a lot of websites claiming that the seventh planet was almost named George, but I was never able to find a primary source for this. As best I could tell searching through documents from the time, no one ever suggested this name. I checked with the Royal Institution, who since
when did the name Uranus come in?
Part of London, and whose videos you should now go watch, and they confirmed the name George was never on the table because to so casually refer to the king at the time would have been disrespectful, and disrespecting a monarch
you probably would have been killed.
Yeah, especially one who is slowly losing his mind from a genetic disorder, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, another real suggestion for the new planet's name came from Johann Bode, who suggested the Greek god of the sky. When a colleague of Bode's discovered the 92nd element in 1789, he named it uranium to support Bode's choice and try and end the debate. Perhaps because these two were German, it might not have occurred to them how the word would eventually be corrupted in English.
In English, it sounds bad.
How English speakers in the 1780s and 90s would have pronounced the name. But since the word anus was in the language then, it seems unlikely that this particular pronunciation would have been popular. It may also have been pronounced with a flat A to sound like Uranus, or something more like the Greek name Uranus. These names competed with each other over decades.
See, here in Poland, we just call it Uran, just the first four letters. The last two, the US, it's just not in there. It's just the first four. Uran, and that's it. So in Polish, doesn't sound bad at all. But in English, sounds like we're talking about butts.
For example, still in 1823, the Encyclopedia Britannica lists the planet as Herschel, notes the alternative names, and then proceeds to carefully word the rest of the article to avoid naming the planet again. But you, dear modern viewer, know that eventually these alternatives faded and left this name triumphant. Which leaves someone like me with my terrible pronunciation longing for history to have taken a different path. The name Herschel might have made the planet sound a bit like a boring accountant rather than the very interesting planet it actually is, but this would still be a much better name than what we have. Neptune is obviously a fine planetary name, though picking this might have just delayed the problem. Finally, the Georgium Sidus is a bit awkward, and in sillier moments, I wish that Herschel had just been more direct and named it King George, because how fun would that make it to teach kids the list of planets today?
I highly doubt
Venus,
that name
Earth,
would
Mars,
have
Jupiter,
been
Saturn,
accepted
King
and survived.
George, and Neptune. In classrooms, such an unusual name would change the planet from a thing to avoid to a starting point for discussions about what makes that planet different, and how astronomy and our view of the universe change and progress over time. But my practical dreams aside, we're stuck with this name, which for me means choosing between the pronunciation which comes naturally and is terrible, or the unnatural, awkward one which is still unsatisfactory. So what's a man to do? In the end, probably follow the lead of the Encyclopedia Britannica and avoid the name when possible, which is a sad fate for the planet in our solar system with such an interesting story to
Just
tell.
call it fuck, which one is it? The 8th planet. Hold on, wait. Is Uranus the last one or the 7th one? Yeah, no, we may as well just call it the 7th planet. Just ignore the name, say planet number 7. I still think Uranus is a better name than King George. Like, really? King George? You named a planet after a king. Kinda cringe. You know, all the other planets are named after gods. But no, let's just name this one after a king. Hell no. That would just make it even more of an outlier. It would make it stand out even more. Because everyone else is named after gods, but no, this one is a king. Well, I mean, obviously Earth isn't named after a god either, but let's just ignore that. Earth is special because we're on it. Yeah, Uranus, far better than some king. Especially a British king. Ugh. Get rid of that shit. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.